here at Hunter, and it's my pleasure to host you here today. If this is your first time you're joining us for an admitted student event, we just want to congratulate you and welcome you to the session. This was a very competitive year for Hunter admissions, so you should certainly be very proud of your admission to the college. Today's session will obviously be focused on film and media. We're very sad we can't meet you in person just yet, but these next 45 minutes or so is a great opportunity for you to learn all about the film and media department, the different sects, the different avenues, and then also hear from our students as well, which is really important to get their perspective. Before we jump in, I just want to remind you that we are in webinar mode. So while we can't see you on camera, we ask that all of you interact with us using the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. We'll either get back to you in the Q&A chat or we'll flag your question and answer your question live at the end for everyone to hear. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Professor Ricardo Miranda, who's going to kick us off in our conversation.
Thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of the media aspect of the Department of Film and Media Studies and talk a little bit about the different choices insofar as concentrations. And then I'm going to hand it off to the Director of Journalism, Professor Cecil McCarthy. And finally, David Pawlowski is going to talk a little bit about internships in film and other aspects of the major. So as Hunter College is a liberal arts college, we firmly believe in the interaction, collaboration, richness of bringing analysis and production together. And so this means that on the faculty, we have film and media theorists who have published books. Just recently, 2 books came out of our department analyzing different forms of media. And we also have many filmmakers and artists. And this means we have documentarians, we have new media artists, we have journalists. So it's kind of the whole spectrum of media making and filmmaking and thinking about it critically, thinking about it like, how does this affect society? How can media be used to spin us? How can media be used to push forward important issues that we want to see change in our world? And in order to introduce students, the course that kind of sets everybody off is Introduction to Media Studies. This is an analytical course that has students thinking about campaigns all the way back to the early 20th century, before television with early film, and thinking about how the things that we consume visually, audibly, in the world around us, in our phones, on the web, how these things persuade us to think about one way or another, or can affect even the vote that we make. So this course is kind of an introduction to the analysis of media. From there, students have to take 2 other 100 level classes, and they're both production classes. And the first one focuses on digital image manipulation, digital photography, color theory, principles of design. It's a very kind of large series of lectures that are presented, but students are in the lab and they're working with Photoshop and Illustrator, they're working with DSLR cameras, and they're working with HTML, CSS to construct creative works, thinking about the stuff that's being presented in the lectures. Similarly, Film P160 is an introductory level, 100 level course that has students working with time-based media. So the same DSLR cameras are being used to capture audio and video, but from the lectures, you're thinking about the image, the framing of the image, how ambient sound can be used, and how all of these things come together. So I like kind of putting the emphasis on those 3 100 level courses because all of our media majors have to take it. From there, things open up. If you want to be a general media studies, then you get to build your curriculum. You get to decide what types of production you're interested in, what kind of analysis you're interested in. All our majors have to do a minimum of 3 analytical courses because, again, at the core of our major is critical thinking and being able to pick things apart, break them down. And for then we have other concentrations. So one of the concentrations that is specifically to analysis is media analysis and criticism, in which students are asked to think about media representations, how race is represented, how gender is represented, how, yeah, the different forms of representation in TV and film, media, tech, industry, and policy. So thinking about anything from the technologies and the governmental policies that exist and influence how the media makes itself out into the world, or how it's pulled back. You know, we're at a moment where there's a questioning of who, if people or organizations pay for greater bandwidth. And this is kind of an ongoing conversation due to how important the internet and connectivity is to us. So, you know, in our economy, there's always those entities seeking to capitalize on things. So one of these things is, well, how should entities have to pay more in order to take up more bandwidth? Should Netflix be charged more, et cetera? But there's also classes that are thinking about the algorithms. How does Netflix present what you see in your interests? What's the black box that exists there? In another section, it's news, politics, and propaganda. So thinking about, again, how the media is represented, constructed in order to sway us in one direction or another. Finally, I'm one of the faculty in emerging media. So in emerging media, it's another production, that is another production area. And, or rather, I guess it's the first production area that I mentioned. And in that area, we're focusing on interactivity, programming for media makers. We have courses like Creative Code, animation, 3D and 2D animation. There's courses that focus on digital design and usability, web production, game production. We have a series of courses related to game production, which is quite popular. And some of those works, I'm going to share my screen for a second. See if this. So some of that culminates in an exhibition. It's kind of a new media type of exhibition that occurs when we're in person, the iArt exhibition, where students might, you know, try out physical computing projects, such as this one, where there's a sensor tracking your heartbeat, and the calmer your heartbeat is, the less likely you are to get whipped cream in your face. Other courses that have 3D LiDAR scans of the visitors put into in this case, into an asteroid space, or interactive elements such as this boom box, which this boxing practice thing is turned into a musical instrument. And then there's collaborations with plants. So here we have different plants with sensors, and those sensors are pulling data from the plants to create a sonification of the plants. And then we have more traditional desktop kind of applications. So this is just, you know, because emerging media is my area, I can have a little bit of, I'm going to stop my share. I have some images related to that, but it's our program also encompasses documentary and television. We have a full-fledged TV studio where you learn how to control the light grid and the cameras, and to work with the subjects. And perhaps Professor McCarthy can talk a little bit about that, because some of her classes make use of the TV studio. So I'm going to hand it off to the Director of Journalism, Professor Cecil McCarthy.
Thank you, Ricardo, and hi, everyone. It's great to be here today to speak to all of you. I'm actually here. This is my classroom this semester. We're teaching remotely, and there's my 14-year-old dog, Mimi, who is a fixture in my class as well. She has her own fan club. I've been at Hunter for 5 years, and it's been an incredible time to teach journalism because there's so much interest from students. It's a real public service career, and journalists right now are really on the front line of history and the guardians of our democracy. We have so many great faculty members. All of us either are or were working journalists. My background is that I was a reporter at anchor for CNN and CNBC. I covered business news. And we have so many talented professors teaching you. Our news video reporting class was taught by an ex-CNN correspondent. We have an Aronson Award winner from BuzzFeed News teaching our investigative reporting class this semester. And in fact, he just did a piece on how the racism that the Capitol Black police felt during the insurrection that was actually mentioned and displayed during the impeachment. You know, this is an amazing journalist teaching our students investigative reporting. We have a CBS Money Watch reporter teaching our introductory course this semester. We have an audio class, podcasting class taught by the host of Trailer Talk. WNBC's social media editor teaches with us. So we really have journalists who are working in the field, who know how the field is changing, getting you ready so you can get out there and get a job. And we have several students, that have made it really big. Kadia Goba is one of our students who is now the Capitol Hill reporter for Axios. She was actually there on January 6th during the insurrection, reporting live. Another one of our students, Christina Williams, just graduated 2 or 3 years ago, and she has already been named to the 30 under 30 years old Forbes list for her platform, which is called Girl Talk Sports. So we really prepare students to work in the journalism field by teaching them multimedia reporting. We've integrated multimedia reporting and writing across the curriculum, which is a different approach than other schools take. Some schools are still just offering a standalone multimedia course. We have integrated it into our first course, reporting and writing one, all the way through our upper level courses and our capstone courses. So when you finish our program, will know how to report a story across all the platforms. So that's text, audio, video, and social media, which means you're incredibly qualified and very sought after by employers. Our students have lots of opportunities to publish their work. And let me just share my screen and I'll show you a couple of them. This is a site by the magazine writing class. It's called The Bridge. And they do all sorts of longer form feature writing pieces here. We also have a school newspaper called The Athenian, and students can actually take this course twice. And it's like working in a newsroom. Students do all the layout, they pitch their own stories, they can do multiple mediums. Most of them are print, text-based stories, but they also do audio and video for this class. And it really functions like a newsroom. The professor, Katina Perrin, is like an editor, and you pitch the idea, she advises you, but you're actually going out and getting these stories. And then this is a capstone class, and you can take it twice. Our other capstone class is the class that I teach. It's Hunter News Now. This is a bi-weekly newscast. Whoops. Completely run and produced by students. I am an advisor, but students are the anchors, the reporters, the producers, and they work hand in hand with the class that learns how to run the control room, which Professor Miranda mentioned. Fantastic class, really gets you ready to get out in the workforce. Let me see what else I want to talk to you about. We have great fun events. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, we had Ali Velshi, MSNBC's anchor and correspondent, come to speak to students. And because we are, a relatively small program, we have about 85 majors and 35 minors, we are able to take a smaller group of students. So 12 of our top students were able to meet with him in a very small setting, virtually, of course, and just have a conversation with him. And then we had a larger session with him where he had a talk with Mary Snow, who is the ex-CNN correspondent. and then took questions for about 30 minutes from students. We've had other speakers like that. So the New York Times, David Folkenflik, reporter, he came and spoke to students. He's the reporter about media. And we try to have an event, at least one event like that, where you can network. So you could start meeting people and making those connections that are so important to get internships and jobs. Let's see. I think I have covered everything, but yeah, what really distinguishes us, I guess, is our approach to teaching multimedia reporting and writing right from the get-go. So when you leave, you are ready to work in any newsroom in terms of reporting stories. You will have the skills. And I guess I will now turn it over to.
Before you
Oh,
turn it over, I just
okay.
type in that I regularly teach web production courses, and some of the most powerful works as the final projects in the web production courses come from the journalism concentration majors from journalism. They take their, whether it's written work or video work, and find ways to create interactive browser-based experiences. So I just had to throw that out because of this. It's just another example of the collaboration within our department.
Yeah, and those synergies are also something that you're not going to get at many other schools, where you can actually take courses from all of those different areas, based on what you're interested in, and then come up with something really unique and original. So yeah, thank you, Ricardo, for jumping in there. And I guess I'll turn it over to David, who is our representing film and also our amazing internship coordinator.
Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So first, I'm the internship advisor. I'm also the operations manager. And the film program that I'm going to speak about with you today is basically a fiction-based program in comparison to our documentary program. So I had taken a few of the film courses, even though I was a media major. So in your degree, it's going to be comprised of both analytical and production, which is extremely important in giving you a well-rounded background as a filmmaker. Not only do you want to know production, but you also want to know the history of film. So we have various areas of history focusing on different decades, as well as selected directors that are in each semester, you'll see directors that are focused on. But equally, you're going to be doing production as well. And in the film area, we focus on Film P160 first, which basically gives you an introduction to Premiere. You're going to be working in the Adobe suite a lot within our department, whether you're in film or whether you're in media. But that Film P160 course is going to give you an opportunity to learn how to shoot, to learn how to record sound, and to learn how to edit. And uniquely in this course, you're going to have the opportunity to create a short film or a short documentary. It's a really wonderful course to immerse you in your beginning experience as a filmmaker, and you'll definitely be taking that unless you've taken a course like that previously. After you finish the Film P160, then you're going to move up into the 200 and 300 level courses. And so as you move into the Film Production 1 and Film Production 2, of course, they're a higher level course. And you're going to be doing longer pieces, and you'll be creating everything from the screenwriting that you'll do in addition to storyboards, and a really well-rounded focus on creating a final film for your degree. Additionally, screenwriting is probably one of the most enjoyable courses that I took, even though I was a media major, and I love taking it because observing life and telling stories and being able to screenwrite is a really important asset. So that's kind of the focus on film. I would say Frances Alswang, who's one of our advisors, I put our website in the chat, fm.hunter.cuny.edu. She's much more well-versed than I am, so you can email her for an appointment if you have further questions. Feel free to do that. If you have questions about media, all of our advisors are listed on the right-hand side of the page, so you can refer back there if you like to get more information. So as far as internships, our internships this semester have been very exciting. What happens is students traditionally by their sophomore or junior year will engage in an internship, and they either find those internships by themselves or they work with me, and together we search to find what kind of internship do you want to be doing? We need to know, what is your passion? What is your skill level? How do we create this opportunity for you to work with somebody in an entry-level position? If you have higher skills, there are certainly higher level internships that are available. Some examples this semester that we have students that are working in the Tribeca Film Festival right now. We have students that are at NBC, CBS. We even have students working in political campaigns who have an interest in politics. And I always recommend pick your top 5 companies that you would like to work with, or your top 5 nonprofits. So you can kind of have a sense of where your passion is going to take you. But equally as important, I can't emphasize more, along with your passion, it's going to be your skill and your abilities that's going to get you an internship. Another thing that you should consider when you're taking your classes is you're going to build your portfolio through the work that you're going to do in your class. Just be really smart about thinking creatively. When you come to class and you're given an assignment, make sure you take advantage of really using that assignment to show your skill or to develop your skill or to reveal something about yourself uniquely in that work. Because when it comes time to build your portfolio and you're going to interview, from taking your classes, you're going to build that portfolio. And the skills that you're going to learn in those classes, you can go beyond what you did in class. And in the summertime, I used to do my own short films based upon what I had learned in the previous semester. So I had a more interesting portfolio. So throughout your time at Hunter, you're going to have a great opportunity to explore, to define yourself, and to build a portfolio for your internship. So take advantage of that. I think that's everything.
Great. Thank you, Dave.
I have one really quick announcement related to film because it's kind of exciting, and I'm just going to share my screen for a second, Joe.
Sure.
So there's 2 books that just went to print from our film faculty, Lucino Visconti and the Fabric of Cinema by Joe McElhaney. And I was just at the launch and reading this past Friday of Difficult Women on Television Drama, the Gender Politics of Complex Women in Serial Narratives. So this is by Professor Isabel Pinedo, who is a media professor. So whereas Professor McElhaney is film, Isabel Pinedo is media, and even our production faculty are also putting books out into the world. This is by a filmmaker professor who focuses on cinematography, Professor Gustavo Mercado, The Filmmaker's Eye, The Language of the Lens, The Power of Lenses, and Expressive Cinematic Image. So I just wanted to share those just to show how active our faculty are across both analysis and production.
That's great information. Thank you for sharing that. Fantastic. We have a couple of great questions coming up in the chat that we're going to address in a moment. But at first, I want to make sure that we give our fantastic students a chance to speak. So I'd like to transition over and introduce Carolyn, one of our current students. So Carolyn, feel free to turn there you go. And if you could just spend a few minutes talking a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your experience at Hunter.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm Carolyn. I'm currently a senior at Hunter College. I'm majoring in media studies with a concentration in TV and documentary production. Ideally, I want to be a producer. I want to be in the entertainment industry. And producers basically are in charge of coordinating a bunch of things. They're very hands-on in different parts of the industry. And I like, various things. I don't like to be stuck to one type of job or whatever. So I'm really interested in being a producer. I actually got an internship, I think, through the Hunter College website through one of David's posts. It was an internship at a production company called Park Slope Productions. They actually make some documentaries and stuff, and they have some shows on Discovery. If any of you guys have ever heard of Alaskan Bush People, they make that show mainly. I think that's their main show, and I got to work there, and one of the producers there was actually from Hunter, and they had just hired someone from Hunter, so that was pretty cool. And if anyone has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer about my experience at the internship. And right now I'm currently applying for other internships. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'll pass it off to Gabriella.
Hi, everyone. My name's Gabriella Vetrano. I'm a senior Macaulay Honors student at Hunter College, and I'm pursuing a double major in media studies with a concentration in journalism and psychology. And I was really first drawn to media studies and particularly journalism because my advisor suggested I take a media studies course because I had done an internship in high school with a YouTube channel. And on a whim, I decided to sign up for the Reporting and Writing 1 course, which journalism majors are required to take. And that course really kind of set me on this path of journalism, which I've been pursuing since my freshman year. It really helped show me my love for writing, and it taught me the importance of reporting, and particularly good reporting. So I've been working on that ever since, and it has been such a pleasure working with the media studies department and the journalism department. I'm currently working with Professor McCarthy on my honors capstone project. Because as a Macaulay honors student, you have to complete an honors project. And it's a long form journalism piece on how students' mental health has been affected by COVID and how colleges have been responding to that need and this mental health crisis. And yeah, I've been so supported throughout my entire journey. I've had a couple of great internships that Professor McCarthy and some of the other journalism professors have helped me revise cover letters and have guided me and helped me create contacts. I've interned with WNET, which is the public broadcasting station for New York, CUNY TV, and the International Legal Foundation, and just some other cool opportunity that popped up. Again, with the help of my advisors in the journalism department, I applied for a scholarship with WNET my sophomore year and was given the opportunity to go with a group of students from a few other colleges to Capitol Hill to talk about the importance of public broadcasting and journalism. And it was a great opportunity that I wouldn't have had a chance to take part in had I not been a part of this incredible program that gave me the skills I needed to be there and be an advocate for public broadcasting. Yeah.
Great, thanks so much to both of you. A lot of great information. We have time for some questions, and we have a couple of good ones that have come up into the chat. So I'm going to read them aloud, and we could all. This actually first, we're going to start with our students, and since we just ended with you for Gabriella and Carolyn. If you could talk a little bit, someone's asking about what exactly has your experience been like working at any internships that you have done? What did you learn exactly? Was it a worthwhile experience? If you could both weigh in on any of your experiences, and then David, of course, if you have anything to add to that as well.
I'll go first. It was like my first experience, I guess, in media outside of high school, because in high school I was like involved in theater, but this was my first time really getting involved in TV or film production. I didn't get to see, it wasn't like a live set type situation, because where they film the shows, it's actually in Alaska. So we were more, or they were more in charge of like setting up everything and like just direct communication with the TV channel where it was broadcasted. So I got to do more of like the research type things, and I got to hear and see like the day-to-day of how they keep the show operating and all that stuff. So it gave me a lot of insight into how a TV show really runs, and how it's more than just like filming. There's so much more behind the scenes. So I got to learn a lot about that.
Great, excellent. David or Gabby, anything to add to that?
I was going to say, I definitely think that all of my internship experiences have been incredibly worthwhile. As I mentioned, the first internship I did was with WNET, and that was very writing heavy and focused on my strengths as a journalism major and really helped me hone my craft. But then my second internship, CUNY TV, was very different because I was actually going on set using video cameras and filming equipment. So helping film segments for various shows for CUNY TV. And there was kind of a little bit of scripting, which did rely on my writing skills that I was really comfortable with, but it really helped me expand my horizons and explore a whole nother side of media and journalism that I hadn't really explored before. Unfortunately, that one was cut short because of COVID, but even transitioning to online and remote, it was an incredible experience. And I was really grateful I had the chance to work both at WNET and at CUNY TV.
I think I'd like to say that I think the experiences can actually vary depending on whether it's your first internship or your second or your third or your fourth. As I work with students, when you're doing your first entry level experience, depending on what your portfolio is, you're kind of getting your feet wet and you're getting a different perspective of, for instance, what documentary filmmaking is, or perhaps if you're working in a social media campaign with someone, you're going to see the overall picture. But then as I work with students and they get a better understanding of what their skill set is as they develop, they move on to either staying with that initial internship and growing in a way where sometimes they actually get hired, or they reach a higher level of responsibility. I mean, I have some student video editors that are actually editing documentaries for an independent filmmaker. And so they're very astute, they're very savvy. And so it really becomes the experience of where your skill level is at. But there are internships for everyone. And there's an entry level experience where you can start if you don't have a lot of experience. Again, I just emphasize building your portfolio so that you have something to share. And then as we work together, we can develop by working with career services at Hunter College. We'll help you with a resume. We help you with mock interviews. I talked to someone the other day who said, it's challenging sometimes because I don't feel authentic. And I said, well, you don't maybe feel authentic in your role yet because you're developing your skills and you're going into an area that's totally new for you. But the more classes that you take, the more work that you do, the more comfortable you become, you're going to find your community, and your community will become your workplace.
Fantastic. Thank you all. A couple of other questions. This is more of a technical question, so I'll throw this to probably our faculty members here. But are there more cameras besides the DSLRs for the filmmaking option? And are production courses set into crews? So two-part question there. And if we don't have the resources here to answer, we could always refer students elsewhere. But
I think I can answer a few of those. So typically in the past, we're at a cap enrollment of 20 students right now. Typically at 16 in our production classes, you would either work in groups of 4 or groups of 2. The Film P160 course, that is the course that focuses on the DSLR camera. We have one camera that comes to mind is the Canon XF100 that I've used myself. We have much higher level cameras that come with each delineation of whether it's a 200 level or a 300 level course. Now, we're hoping, we've been on sending equipment out to students this past semester so that they were available to actually shoot. We're hoping to have some of our production classes online in the fall. And so if you have any other questions about equipment directly, just email me and I will forward that email to our CLT, who's in charge of all of our equipment, Renato Tonelli, and he'll be able to tell me exactly what cameras we have. So just email me directly from the fm.hunter.cuny.edu site, and I'll get you the answers that you need.
Fantastic, great. We have time for a couple of more questions. So let's see here. Okay, are there any clubs for mass media communications or media major? And maybe some of our students can even weigh in on this if they're aware of anything. I would imagine a lot of the activities happen within the department as part of the major, but if there's any other opportunities that students should be aware of.
Well, we do have a student-run school newspaper called The Envoy, which 4 of our journalism students resurrected last year. And is doing great. It basically had sort of gone on hiatus for a while, but now it's coming back strong. So that's something else if you're interested in a club that's doing journalism. The Envoy is great. And we also have a radio station, WHCS. Hunter College Speaks, yeah, WHCS. And that's, in a primo location right outside the cafeteria. Again, all student run. So those are 2 media clubs that students can get involved in.
And I just dropped in the URL for the e-game design collective. This is a group that started, it was initiated in the film and media department just, I don't know, about 3 years ago, and has grown into a not-for-profit and an incredibly active game design, game playing. They meet every Friday. They have a Twitch channel. They're a pretty dynamic group of students, largely made up of kind of not only media, but also a lot of computer science students. Yeah, it's a growing student group.
Great, excellent. Next question, this is actually specifically directed to our faculty in the room. And this is a really interesting, I don't know if anyone's ever asked this question before, and I really like it. How have you noticed how your students evolved from their early stages to their late stages? This particular student's interested in from film production, going from their first short films to final films. But also I think it's useful to answer from a general perspective of some of the characteristics that you see in your students as they go through the Hunter program to, you know, and how they evolve as an artist, essentially.
I have one scenario that comes to mind. Last spring, I worked with an honors project, a student who was actually a film major, but he also had been taken game production, game design courses, and was very much interested in creating an interactive film experience. So what I saw is that he had taken his skills in script writing and cinematography and staged video shoots on campus and made use of the campus, but then he also created a 3D model of Hunter and created a first-person controller that had you moving through the space into these video meetings and then into a much more poetic kind of collapse of filmic experience in the game environment. So it was a pretty powerful piece. Yeah, that's one that comes to mind.
And I can comment as well. You know, a lot of the students that we get in the journalism program really have no experience at all. And that is what we assume when you take our introductory courses. And to, you know, watch the students, we're a small program, so we know the students. I'm the advisor for everyone. I get to know all the students really well. And, you know, what you're really talking about is the joy of teaching, watching someone grow and mature and develop from, you know, a student and apprentice to a professional. I mean, watching Kadia Goba report from the Capitol, like my heart was like exploding. It was like one of my own children, you know, was up there. So, you know, we are so invested in our students and invested in their success. We're passionate about what we're teaching, and we're passionate about our students. I mean, that's why we're doing it. And we have, you know, so many success stories like that really make it all worthwhile.
I would say for me, I think I've seen my students grow when they first come to see me and they don't even have a resume. And we talk about how we create a resume, and working together with career services, by us having them visit career services by Zoom now or whatever, just having that experience of speaking with another professional is another experience that each student can learn beyond the classroom. Because to me, internships are about the bridge outside of Hunter. You're taking what you learned at Hunter, but you're taking it into your job, into the outside world. So I've seen students grow who just had a very basic resume and then got their first internship. And then after they got that, the next semester they got another internship. And after 4 semesters, they had 4 credits of internships that they were able to create. And I saw their confidence grow. And they often said, "Thank you so much, or you gave me confidence." And I said, "No, you gave yourself confidence because you did it. All I did was guide you, but you did the work. You did the thinking. We worked together." Every relationship that you're going to have in your future, to me, is a collaboration. So what you need to do as a student is to reach out when you need help, reach out when you need guidance with your career. And that's how you evolve as a student. Don't be quiet. Don't be afraid to speak. I spoke with a student the other day. I said, "You know what? In the fall, if we're on campus, or if not, we're going to have Zoom meetings where I want students just to come in and let their hair down. Tell me what your fears are." When you hear those fears that other people may have, you can find a way to overcome them. And not that everybody has fears. We have great stories of successes that we need to share in also.
Thank you. That's a wonderful response. I think we'll have time for one or two more questions. This one is an inevitable one, and I think is important to address here. You know, obviously, virtual learning has its limitations, particularly for the topic areas that we're talking about today. is being a film or media major a lot more difficult with having limited classes in person. Obviously, we're moving towards a model where hopefully we'll see more classes in person by the time our lovely admitted students get to Hunter in the fall, but it probably still won't be 100%. So can you, and maybe this, if we could hear from a faculty member and maybe one of our students on this, talk a little bit about this experience and how you're still growing and having your students grow in this environment.
I think it really depends on the course. Right now I'm teaching an XR design and development course. And when I first proposed it was before the pandemic, and I got some equipment. We got some Oculus Quests, we got iPads, iPad Pros for their LiDAR cameras, but I had to reinvent it for this scenario. And so far the students are making amazing work because there's technology out there that's just developing, such as A-Frame, which is a framework for web VR, so that you can use the browser for VR. So in that case, there's enough flexibility in the medium that it can exist online. Is this all you were going to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has to adapt. And, I teach a news literacy course, which is actually one of my passions. And there's another website you can check out called newsliteracymatters.com, which is where we really talk about how to become a more news literate consumer, what you need to know. And for that course, I've actually changed the way I teach it because we are now online. So part of the course is what we call asynchronous. This is students doing the lectures and the reading on their own time. So I tape the lectures, never had done that. And then we have a lab for the other half of the class, discussion in person. And we actually are doing activities and practicing what we learned, applying the concept. And this is what's called the flipped classroom in pedagogy. And, interestingly, students love the asynchronous part. They love the tape lectures because they can watch them when they have time. They can watch them at their own speed, and they can watch them over and over again if they want to. And, that is actually something I probably will keep going forward. So, the thing is that you innovate and you adapt, and it's not been all bad, is what I want to say. Of course, I can't wait to be back in the classroom, particularly for the discussion sections, but there are, some benefits, silver linings of having to be remote. And, journalists are working remotely now too. So these are the reporting and writing skills that working journalists are using. So I feel that students are still learning very, very important things and learning to be flexible, which is really a life skill that, will benefit you for the rest of your life.
I can't really speak so much on classes, but one thing I'd like to share that's happened this semester that's unique is I have students that are working with small video production companies in California. Students were able to seek out internship opportunities that previous to COVID, they might not have been able to participate in. So I have about 3 students that are based in New York, but working with video productions in California. So I think the whole Zoom effect may even widen opportunities for you as students. For instance, if you're a filmmaker that potentially wants to work in Los Angeles at some point, you might have the opportunity to actually hook up with some production companies or small businesses that are West Coast based. And I think that's a real asset.
Excellent. I'd love to also hear from one of our students as well as to what your experience is like on your side. Gabby, you want to take this one? Sure, go ahead.
Sure. So when we first had to make the switch, I was very concerned because so much of journalism is dependent on, being in your community and having an understanding of what the concerns are in the community, and even face-to-face interviews. And so even though it's different, I don't feel like it's taken away from my experience at all. For example, last semester I was in neighborhood news, which meant I was reporting for the Athenian, the website that Professor McCarthy showed earlier. And since that is centered on the Hunter community, we just had to adapt on how do we find out what issues are of concern to the Hunter community without necessarily being on campus. And it has been great for learning how to be flexible and how to kind of still get the good quality story you want to put out, but doing it a bit differently than maybe the way I was doing it freshman or sophomore year. But it has been a great experience. All the professors have been incredibly understanding and have helped us the entire way adapt to this new style of learning and reporting.
Great, thank you all for that. With that, we're just at about time, so I just want to give a huge thank you to all of our presenters today, our students, and all of our faculty members. This was a great discussion, and also, of course, a huge thank you to our admitted students. You really asked a lot of thoughtful questions. We really, really appreciate that. We do this a lot with a lot of different groups, and I will have to say your group was one of the best and had some of the more insightful questions. So we really appreciate you thinking on that level when you're considering the film and media programs at Hunter College. So we really thank you for joining us today. We hope you like what you heard about film and media and hope it makes you want to join the Hunter Hawk family in the fall. Just as a note, we have more upcoming Hawk Talks on topics such as student life, diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism initiatives on campus, housing, things, all different aspects of life at Hunter, and also, of course, the other academic topics as well. Where you found this section, Hawk Talk, there's a whole list of others, so we encourage you to continue to explore. Typically, this would have been a big day on campus where you would have got to see everything at once, but we spread it out over the next couple of months so that you have a chance to pop into different webinars and sessions. They're all going to be recorded as well, so you'll be able to access that on our YouTube channel. So definitely make sure that you continue getting to know us. If for some reason you've decided Hunter's the place for you, be sure to log into your CUNY First account to submit your commitment to Hunter and also submit your deposit. The deadline for all of that is May 1st, so we're a couple of months away, and that will reserve your spot in the fall 2021 class. So we really look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully in person in the fall as a member of the Hunter community. And in the meantime, we wish you the best during the remainder of your year and a safe and happy return to the academic world in September. Thank you all, and thanks for a great session. Have a great day.